people of all ages, races, and sexes could, celebrate themselves individually, but then also in a community. And so just recently, I celebrated 23 years of graduating from Kansas State. And I did a talk last year about the brand new multicultural center that they opened at the university. So I'm really, really excited because it was a ton of legislation that went into that, being in student government, and then just getting funding in a private university is really, really difficult. But I know when I was there, just having the footprint on having a legacy in the diverse and multicultural community was something that was really, really important to me. And so they spent $20 million on building a center where students can celebrate themselves, have reunions. We always have a Black student union at Kansas State University bi-yearly. And so now we have a whole new facility that I can't wait to visit for our reunion. That I think will be next year because they just had one post-COVID. So yeah, it's a whirlwind, when you get into the fashion industry. I don't think anyone's story is the same. I graduated with a degree in apparel textile marketing, and I minored in business in 2003. So yeah, I celebrated my 20th year anniversary. And it was, I would probably say, one of the best experiences of my life because I got exposed to a lot of different designers. I got exposed to a ton of just opportunities that I never would have had if I didn't go the collegiate route. So in that, when I graduated college, I actually did an internship at the Buckle, and I was going to move to New York, and I was, going to accept an assistant buying training program position with the Federated Company. And that's the company at that time that owned Macy's and Bloomingdale's and all of my favorite department stores. But just, like I said, the universe had a totally different path for me. So fast forward, I ended up moving to Dallas after I graduated a few years. And from there, I started a career in the makeup industry. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years. And it's been so rewarding. And I've had an amazing opportunity to expand and do wardrobe styling and being on set and, people not being there, but then I was there, so I would probably say, if you're wanting to take the fashion industry and you really want to have a job or a position or, just get your foot in the door, just show up with an open heart and an open mind and be ready to work. Because this is an industry of, who do you know, what's your experience? And it's really, really hard to get your foot in the door with even getting an entry level or internship. So that's why it's so amazing that they have, foundations like the Jade Marlin Foundation that focuses on helping students and just people that are wanting to get their foot in the door in the fashion industry, but then just also wanting to cultivate a relationship of giving back. I think that's just so beautiful. And so through this journey of makeup artistry, I've had a ton of opportunities to do makeup on celebrities that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that they're calling me. I think it's really funny. I was actually giving a talk a few weeks ago and I thought about this story and I was like, oh my God, I'd never thought about it like that. But one of my favorite comedians on this planet, I'm sure one of your favorites as well, is Kevin Hart. And, just as an artist, I've always supported him. As a comedian, I think that his personal belief system is very aligned with my personal belief system. And so, just as a comedian, just seeing him in the improv, but then, watching his career grow, right? So I remember going to the local comedy club here and sing him for $25, right? And then, Kevin Hart started blowing up. And then he came to the American Airlines Center. And I remember going with my girlfriends and paying $125, right? Well, fast forward, I believe it was 2018. I got a random call on my phone, on my business phone from an LA number. And I'm like, hello, this is Erica. And they're like, hi, Erica, this is Fox Network. And we're, calling you to do makeup for Will Packer and another celebrity. They just an anonymous celebrity. So Will Packer, I already knew who that was because, he is a film producer and produced a ton of, projects that I've watched, just, being a fan, right? And so, I'm like, yeah, like I'm available. And they tell me, where to show up. When you do makeup for in the industry, it's a billable, so it's an invoice, and you get, kind of a one pager or a call sheet with all of the instructions on what to do when you arrive at your client's location. Because, a lot of these celebrities, and I say celebrities loosely because intermixed, you could have people that are in the industry, but, people that are high profile, whatever, influencers, whatever, anything. So when you have, clients that are considered more high profile, you usually have to sign like a non-disclosure or an NDA. And so, that was the scenario here. And so, I got the information on where to show up and, who was going to meet me in the lobby. All of that information is all sent ahead of time, so just so you always should be protected in reference to knowing exactly what you're walking into in the fashion industry, because, this industry is so fluid, you kind of deal with a lot of people that are really whimsical and people that just kind of let things fall through the crack. But, just to protect yourself, really make sure that you have your ducks in the row in reference to what you're going to do when your time, pay, compensation, just everything. So I had a one pager and a few calls before the project of me doing makeup, but and I knew that I had to arrive at the hotel at this time because most of the time when you're doing film, like you'll be on set or people will rent out, different spaces in hotels or venues, warehouses, whatever they're using the facility for or venue or whatever the filming is for. So I had my call time, and like I said, I know who the producer Will Packer is. But like I said, I didn't know who the other celebrity was that I was assigned to do makeup for. So I arrived at the W Hotel at 6 a.m. and Will Packer and Kevin Hart, it ended up being Kevin Hart, they were doing a press junket for the film Night School with Tiffany Haddish. Mm-hmm. And the way that they targeted to promote this film was by going to different high schools and different schools and really connecting with students to, get publicity about this film that they produced with and made with Tiffany Haddish. And so I go into the conference room, set up, do my makeup because, male grooming is a lot different than doing makeup for a woman that is more glam or, on set or whatever the scenario is. It's a different approach. You don't approach male grooming and makeup for a male the way that you do female. So it's a very minimal makeup kit that you bring, but it's still, you have to make sure that client is camera ready. And I remember they had a really busy schedule. So, his assistant and the producer for his entire press junket for Dallas that time was who I would communicate with. And so, I'm doing makeup, on Will, and he's so great. Who's so personable, very, very respectful, respected my profession as being a makeup artist, trusted the products that I use. And it was just an amazing experience. That wasn't the first celebrity that I worked on, but I guess this would be the most recognizable that you will understand in this scenario. And so, like I said, I was doing this talk a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, I guess, a lot of times people are like, Erica, you've made it, because I've been doing makeup in this industry for the last 15 years. And, I think about that makeup and following Kevin Hart, and like I said, paying to see him in a show, and then thinking about, oh, I, I end up getting paid to do him. And so, I guess, I think about that, and I think about success. I don't really think about, the who, but really having a heart level of giving back. I guess, if people would say, oh, Erica, yeah, you're a celebrity makeup artist, I don't really think about it like that. I think about it as, even the woman that I'm doing makeup for, preparing her for a wedding, I think about her as a celebrity. So I treat every single client, every single situation, every project, every gig, every show, I go into it with a heart of giving back, and a heart of giving my talent for that person. So I don't look at it as, oh, I'm a celebrity stylist, or, oh, I'm a celebrity makeup artist by any means. I never, really look at it like that. I look at it as a more totality of, this is the gift that God gave me, and I utilize it to make money. It's my career, but then I also utilize it to be able to share and connect. And, doing on set and doing makeup for that press junket, and touring the different campuses with him that day, I was able to hear about his new collaboration that he did with Chase Bank. And just, doing makeup and being around that, and just listening to why he did the collaboration with Chase Bank. And, he was saying that he wanted to give back, but then also wanting to equip people that looked like him with financial literacy. And I think, that's something else that in the fashion industry, you have to be really, really mindful of, because in the fashion industry, money can come quick, but you have to be able to budget that money, and you have to be smart with that money. When you own your own business, you can't, you can make a ton of money, but if you're not saving it and being strategic about budgeting, then you could lose it just as quick. So I would probably say that's another nugget, that if I was younger, and that I would have really, really listened to my mom, because she used to tell me that all the time, Erica, don't spend all the money. As soon as it comes in, don't just spend it, because sometimes as kids, and then sometimes as young adults, we think that we know everything, like, oh, you guys are old, you can't tell me anything. But it's really not the truth. When you have someone that really loves you and is coming from a genuine place, trust their advice, because they maybe have been there, they've experienced that scenario, and they're telling you that from love and protection. They're not telling you something that they haven't experienced on their own. So when I tell you to budget your money as a fashion designer, stylist, makeup artist, go for intern, anything. Save your money. Don't just go shopping on the next crazy designer fad. But I would probably say, just in that talk, and thinking about the progression of how I met Kevin Hart, to going to his show, going to his first comedy show at the Addison Improv, paying $25, and then fast forward years later to doing his makeup for a press junket, and then getting paid by Fox. I guess that would be success. So sure. But then I also think about other fashion icons in the industry, and I just had the opportunity to join a talk in Vegas at the Magic Show. And what that is, Magic is a retail buying market for people in the fashion industry that purchase clothing for online boutiques, are in the retail setting. And it's a market that travels to different cities, but they focus on different seasonal apparel. So I was just in Vegas for Valentine's Day week. And I went to the spring summer 2022 22 spring summer collection for all of the designers and retailers. And it was a really cool opportunity because the first day that we were there, they have a ton of speakers and a ton of entertainers. And the first day that we were there, the first speaker was Dapper Dan. And if you know anything about hip hop industry, the hip hop industry and just the culture of hip hop and just the progression of how hip hop has molded and shaped the fashion industry to where we are now, you know that Dapper Dan is an icon in the fashion industry. And just hearing him talk and, you know, knowing his story about the different rappers that he's worked with, and some of them I've worked with as well, it just really brings so much joy to my heart and joy to being and seeing representation in the industry of somebody that looks like you and you can relate to. And then alongside him was Elaine Wiltworth, and she was one of the youngest editors for Teen Vogue, and she's African American as well. And so just to attend that lecture at Magic with two people that I highly respect in the fashion industry was so amazing. So I want to give you some of their nuggets that I heard at Magic just recently. So Dapper Dan is such an amazing fashion icon. We have seen his work on Puffy and the Bad Boy Entertainers with having the designer prints, and that is very Dapper Dan. And so he now is, you know, a collaborator for Gucci, and just talking and listening to him talk about his story. He always tells people his ground roots start, you know, because there was artists that stylists wouldn't work with, you know, like there's rappers and there's, you know, people in the hip hop industry that stylists specifically wouldn't work with them because of notoriety. But Dapper Dan had his thumb to the streets in reference to trends. And, you know, he even says to this day, he's like, you know, I still take the bus, I still take the train to Harlem because that is what I know, you know, so be true to yourself and really, really, really say, you know what, I am taking the passion, I am taking the gift that God gave me, and I am using it to help others. And what I love about Dapper Dan's story is that he, you know, because he is an icon, but he, you know, has been so influential in the fashion industry. And one of my favorite things that he said during the lecture was that every morning he would always stand on the front stoop of his studio and talk to people that walked by and kids that he knew in the neighborhood. He would give them $1, just whatever. I just think that's so amazing that he still had his pulse on the community and in the neighborhood. And that's very much how I am in reference to making sure that people that look like me and people that come from my background can learn from me, but at the same time say, oh, we're creating space for that person to grow and giving them the tools and resources that they need that other people don't get an opportunity to get. So he has such an amazing story. If you don't know who Dapper Dan is, I do encourage you to Google him, research him, as well as Eyes by Erica and me in Dallas. But, you know, there's a ton of people in the fashion industry that look like me and you and, you know, your neighbor. But then I just think about, you know, the space of being in Magic. And so this is the opportunity if you're wanting to, you know, be able to go to the Magic show. It's so amazing. But this is where you would want to follow a career path in the fashion industry of being like a buyer or being a wholesaler or being a trend forecaster or being a product developer, where you go and you get to pretty much select the forward season's apparel for a retailer. So I had an opportunity where I am a senior buyer for an online boutique. And, you know, all of this all of these opportunities that I got in the fashion industry were not just things that I, searched on Career Builder or searched on Indeed or, did searches just by Google. It was through the relationships that I cultivated by showing up. And so that's another one of my nuggets that I really, really want you to take away from the talk that we have today is show up, but show up for yourself and show up for the gig that you're supposed to show up for, because sometimes when you're in a freelance capacity, you're getting paid from gig to gig. When you own your own business and you're in a freelance type career, such as being a stylist, being a makeup artist, being if you're, kind of in the wholesale business, a lot of people are commission based. And so that's also kind of gig to gig or contract to contract. So you really have to be able to show up and show what you can do in a short amount of time, because you don't have a lengthy amount of time to show your abilities and experience. So you have to have a resume where people can kind of support your business and use word of mouth to say, oh yeah, I know this girl that's a makeup artist. She's amazing. You can go to her website, eyesbyerica.com or whatever, having that rapport, having those relationships in this industry is what's going to take you far. I know with my business now being in the industry for the past 15 years, I don't have to get on social media and go crazy with, marketing and saying, oh, book me, because people will do that for me. Your work begins to speak for itself. Your attitude, your energy, the presence that you bring on set will speak for itself. You don't have to create this falsehood on social media, which is so prevalent now, with people creating an image, but really not being that image in real life. So that's another nugget that I would love for you to take away is, be authentic to yourself. Don't just try to present a mask of, oh, this is who I am. Because in the makeup industry and beauty industry, we can put a mask on all day. I mean, I can paint your face and make you look like anyone. But in that, are you really that person internally? Are you really living that lifestyle of that meme that you're sharing, right? Or is it just a meme? So, I think that's something that's really important in the fashion industry because, a lot of creatives are in the fashion industry and we express ourselves through our hair, through our makeup, through our clothes, because it's an art form. Fashion is all deep woven in art. Even when I was a young girl, I remember my mom taking me to the mall and doing this Dare video. And I don't know if you guys know what Dare is. It used to be this big drug advocate, program where they would travel to schools and different children's organizations to teach them about just say no to drugs. And I did a video and my mom had to do it at the mall of where I had to, if something ever happened to me, they would have a video that they could share on the news if I was ever abducted, right? And it's just me talking. And I was 7 years old and my mom still shows this videos at all of our crazy, family reunions and all this stuff. And so I'm 7 years old and I get on there and I'm like, yeah, my name is Erica Smith. And, just exuberant and 7, honey, free as a butterfly, right? Well, I remember them asking me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said that I wanted to be an artist. And I always had a passion of being an artist. But I think it's so funny how God has me being a makeup artist now, but then just also a fashion artist. That's really kind of what I call myself, is just a fashion artist, not just a makeup artist, because interwoven in fashion is makeup, is clothes, is apparel, is textiles, is fabric, it's hair, it's everything, it's all inclusive of anything that you can decorate, right? But then how you express yourself. And so I knew at a young age that I always wanted to do something in the fashion industry. And I knew that I wanted to be an artist. And I knew that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. And I was very much passionate about clothes. I think as African Americans, we use clothes to express ourselves, but just in a supernatural way. If you think about our ancestors in Africa with mud cloths and kente cloths, and just the expression of fashion and art through African art and through hair and through elaborate makeup and jewels, like those are the things that are deep woven in our culture, that you can express yourself, but also you can show your creativity. And that's the beautiful thing about fashion, is there's no wrong, right? There's no cliche rule of, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Because you think about Dapper Dan, he was using the fabrics of the designers, but then the designers end up coming to him to collaborate, so he's making these Gucci MCM tracksuits for these amazing performers. But then later in life, Gucci came to him and said, will you create designs for us? Because he never gave up. He never gave up on the dream of saying, you know what, I'm creating clothes for my people. And I think that that's so beautiful. And just stay true to yourself in that, because if you have a target market, if you have someone that you are trying to promote your business to, or, pigeonholing yourself into this cliche, then all of the other stars are not going to be able to fall on your dream. So you also have to open yourself up to receiving, because if he said, you know what, I'm just doing this for hip hop, I'm not doing it for anyone else, then what about all the other consumers that wouldn't get to know who he was and get to see his beautiful designs and see his expression of creativity through the clothes that he designed? So think about that when you are creating your art piece in fashion, in makeup, in wardrobe styling, in being on set on film, whatever you're creating. Do that with an open heart of receiving the other blessings that come along with that, because you just don't have that one. The cliche, they say the richest place on earth is the grave. And I remember hearing that the first time and not resonating with that. But the reason that it is because the universe, God gives us so many gifts, and you're not just pigeonholed to one. You can use your gift and elevate and go into different areas and be free to explore. Explore the different elements of fashion, because fashion is not just clothes. It's not just makeup. It's not just shoes. It's not just jewelry. It's not just the tangible. It's also a feeling. It's also a embodiment. Because I know for one, like I have purple and pink hair and, red hair, and I'm 40, but a lot of people would say, oh my God, Erica, you're not, doing a traditional corporate job, but I'm happy and I make more money than you. So, so you have to, but you can't look at it in regards to making money either, because your gift can take you anywhere. Your gift can take you to places that you never even fathomed, if you really operate from a heart of openness and not just saying, I'm doing this for a paycheck, I'm doing this for money, because that's how you can kind of get pigeonholed and stuff. But your gift can take you to places that you never even imagine. You don't even know where you just having an open heart can land you. And not every situation is going to be your your permanent landing spot. You might go to one area, but then in that area grow to something else. It's just like when you plant seeds and you're growing, just like my beautiful baby behind me, my birds of paradise. Because I don't have children, I say that my plants are my children. And I have 19 plants. So I have a lot of children. But just like how plants grow, like when you plant the seed of a small plant, you don't know how it's going to grow, just like a tree, like the tree of life and the cycle of life. And that's the same way in fashion. Fashion goes through cycles. We're doing things right now in 2022 that we used to do in the 90s. And that's what's so popular right now, is this 90s culture of clothing. And I'm like, I should have just kept all my stuff from the 90s, because that's how fashion is. Everything is recycled. You're not going to reinvent the wheel, but you might bring something to make the wheel drive a little smoother. So don't think that, oh, your idea doesn't matter or that it doesn't have purpose. Every single person that is on this earth, that is breathing, has breath in their lungs and has blood flowing through, their body, they have a purpose. And even if it's a small purpose or a big purpose, whatever that success looks like for you, you have a purpose, and even my purpose right now, being 15 years in this industry and talking to you guys now, this is my purpose. I'm fulfilling that. And I'm very happy and grateful for this opportunity, because you never know where this could go, and so I always lead my life with a very open mind, always going into opportunities saying, you know what, you never know where this is going to be. Let me be authentic to who I am and lead with an open heart and allow my creativity to be expressive, but at the same time be moldable and be open to learning. Like I said, I'm 40 years old, but there's still so many things that I don't know. I still learn all the time, and that's the crazy part, and that's the amazing part, and the gift and the curse of the fashion industry. It's always evolving. And I really believe that the F in fashion means for fast pace, because fashion goes in cycles. There's waves of trends, being on the cusp of trends, being in the peak of trends, being on the die out of trends. And you have to always be ready and have your pulse on the thumb of what's going on around you. I remember taking fashion classes at Kansas State and talking about culture and fashion, and how even right now, like with the coronavirus and, the coronavirus really affecting us globally, that affected the import and export system in fashion industry majorly, because you have to think about, if the ports are shut down, then how are we going to get the goods if they're overseas? So there's a ton of things that has to go into the fashion industry that a lot of people don't talk about. But there's room for everyone, and there's room for people that look like me and you and your neighbor. So I do want to open up the floor for questions and answers. I will try to answer as many questions that come my way. So I would love to open that up now.
Erica, what I'm hearing, this is